for SAS 3, you were supposed to do the same thing on Desmos, right? You were supposed to type in the equation, but now they were asking you about the domain and range. I did mention that the domain for all these parabolas should be all real numbers. So every single parabola here, you can plug in anything that you want for x. All right. It's the range that you really have to be careful about. So if we type this first one in, we have y equals x squared minus 1. The idea of this vertex, again, helps you here because your vertex is right here. It's a minimum. That's the lowest point of the parabola. So if you hover over the vertex, you'll see that the coordinates are 0, -1. So because it's down here at -1, right, we know that -1 is the lowest point of that parabola. Everything is above that point. So our range here should be all numbers greater than or equal to -1, because this parabola is going to continue to go upward and nothing is below -1. So our range for this first one should be y is greater than or equal to -1. Now the next one, the only difference here is that they put a negative in front of the x squared. So we know that that's going to flip our parabola upside down, right? So again, if we find our vertex, it's still a -1, but now because it's a maximum, -1 is the highest point. So everything else is below -1. So our range here should be all numbers less than or equal to -1 because our parabola is pointing downward. So for this range, you should have put y is less than or equal to -1, but our domain is all real numbers again. Okay, so that's for 16b. 16c, x squared plus 1. So let's get rid of the negative, and we're going to change this to a plus 1. So here's my vertex. It's at 0, 1. So that means that positive 1 now is our minimum, and everything in our parabola is above it. So y is greater than or equal to positive 1 now. So this should be y greater than or equal to positive 1, and our domain again is all real numbers. Because again, we can plug in anything for x that we want. If you take that equation and put a negative in front of the x squared, it's going to flip it upside down. So now our vertex is still at positive 1, but that's our maximum. So everything is below that point. So our range now needs to be y is less than or equal to 1 with a domain of all real numbers. Okay? So then the next one, negative x squared plus 3. So if I change this to a 3, it's still upside down, but now my vertex is up here at 3. So everything is below 3. So my range should be y is less than or equal to 3. And again, if you want to use that fancy symbol, the R with the 2 lines, that means all real numbers. Talked about that a little while ago, but it kind of just makes our lives a little bit easier. All right, and then this last one, x squared minus 4. My vertex is down here at -4, but everything is above that point because it's a minimum. So my range needs to be y is greater than or equal to -4. And my domain is all real numbers, right? So just take a look at the comments and the things that I highlighted when I submitted or when I returned your worksheets back to you, because a few people had some correct answers, but then some incorrect answers when you tried these on your own. So just take a look. And please email me if you guys have any questions. All right. Talk to you later.